evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal to International. I'm called Morinzi. We begin with our top stories. The cry for better roads is loud from Douala City residents who are going through painful ordeal to circulate in Douala. Driving from one stretch of the road network to another is a difficult task as commuters beg for roads. And the Cameroon General Certificate of Education Board GCE released statistics concerning candidates sanctioned for diverse form of fraud in the June 2003 session of examination. They have been banned from taking part in any GCE-related exams for a period of 1 year, and their 2023 GCE results invalid. And today, August 10, is being observed as the African Day of Decentralization and Local Development. Some 10 years after it was introduced in Cameroon, its implementation phase is still limping. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. The cry for better roads is loud from Douala City residents who are going through a painful ordeal to circulate in the city of Douala. Driving from one stretch of the road network to another is a difficult task as commuters beg for roads. As the cry is alarming, Kejan Henry Atembe was in several neighborhoods in the city of Douala. His story.
Poor road network is creating untold circulation problems to commuters in Douala, and with increasing rainfall, the pains of the residents are piling. Driving through one of the busiest junctions, the famous Ndukoti connecting Pekadus to Pekadisert, is a painful ordeal. And despite City Council's much trumpeted road rehabilitation campaign flagged off 1 month ago, the situation is worsening by the day. With the dense population and huge traffic volumes, the bad state of the road has been dated as the main contributing factor of traffic holdups. Many business concerns and companies that operate along the Ndukoti-Pekadus road network have seen their vehicles transporting goods swallowed in pool of water. The easiest and fastest transport means, which is the bike, is not helping things out. And as schools opened their doors in a few weeks, the volume of commuting will certainly increase, and there are fears that the situation might not have been abated. Another water pool is around Monaco, the road axis connecting Camtel Bepanda to Omnisport Stadium. That road has been abandoned because of its unpassable nature, and so transporters are obliged to sneak through the quarters to get to their destinations.
And the Douala City Council has embarked on a 2-week road rehabilitation project at the Ndukoti roundabout to ease movement in this locality of Cameroon's economic city. Douala, known for its bubbling characteristics, Ndukoti is one of the major junctions with endless hours of human and motorized holdups. More with our reporter, Saleh Sharifa.
Navigating through Ndukoti every day is like passing a horse through a needle hole. Talk less during a road rehabilitation works. Majority of commuters prefer to sail on foot in order to catch up with appointments.
Nous-mêmes les piétons, nous n'avons pas moyen pour passer. C'est vraiment très très mauvais. Parce qu'en journée comme ça, il y a les activités et ça empêche les gens de circuler.
The rehabilitation works, supposed to be a good news to commuters, has instead come under very strong criticism from city dwellers. According to commercial bike owners, they spend more in fuel due to the hold-up, especially during rush hours.
Je suis obligé de taxer cher parce qu'il y a les embouteillages et ça nous fait consommer plus. Quand on est stationné dans les embouteillages, les moteurs on perd en carburant.
For roadside vendors, they wish the project lasts long as the hold-ups is an opportunity for them to make more money.
Le passager s'arrête même s'il n'a pas besoin de payer la marchandise. Quand il s'arrête, il jette un coup d'œil.
Depuis qu'il y a eu les embouteillages, le chiffre d'affaires a augmenté. Oui.
Many are anxious and hope to see this 2 weeks project come to pass for a better new Ndokoti with less hold-ups, as it is one of the most busiest and most used roads in Douala, connecting many other neighborhoods.
And the Cameroon General Certificate of Education Board, the GCE, has released statistics concerning candidates sanctioned for diverse form of fraud in the June 2023 session of the examinations. They have been banned from taking part in any GCE-related examinations for a period of 1 year, and their 2023 GCE results invalid. Saleh Sharifa has the rest of that story.
According to figures revealed from the Cameroon General Certificate of Education Board, GCE, some 1,891 cases of examination malpractices were recorded this year, ranging from the use of pre-prepared material, collusion, the use of cell phones, script substitution, impersonation, and even violence in some cases. Those caught using cell phones, impersonating others, and substituting scripts had their result annulled and served 3-year suspensions from all exams organized by the GCE board. Elsewhere, candidates who were found with pre-prepared material involved in acts of violence and collusion also had their results annulled. They have also been banned from taking part in any GCE-related exams for a period of 1 year. The figures also revealed that the number of candidates caught with pre-prepared materials in 2023 GCE session doubled the number recorded during the 2022 session. The sanctions come 2 months after the suspension of some teachers involved in the organization of this year's GCE session. In a statement issued last June, the registrar of the GCE board, Ndang Ako Dominic, announced the suspension of several GCE examination officials of the Government Bilingual High School, GBHS Isangele, in the Ndian Division of the Southwest Region.
Some secondary schools operating on clandestine basis have been shut down in the littoral region. The repressive team headed by the regional delegate for secondary education. Most of the schools shut down are wanting in infrastructure, while the environment leaves much to be desired. More in the following story.
This woman was at the verge of registering her child for the first time in a secondary school, birth without proper verification if the school was clandestine or not. She was lucky to meet the repressive team on the field headed by the regional delegate for secondary education, who was on the field to shut down clandestine schools in the littoral region.
In the Vuri, we have 45 schools to close. We are going to do it today and tomorrow. And we also have the same operation at the Mungo Division. We have 22 schools to close there.
Most of the clandestine schools are situated in the interior parts of some neighborhoods. Access most often is complicated with nasty, muddy and dilapidated roads. As we walked inside, we met infrastructures that are wanting in all aspects. Just like here. Here is a private residence that has been transformed into a secondary school. The classrooms are filthy, rough walls, dirty and dilapidated benches, and muddy floors, which are flooded when it rains. The team even met children on holiday classes. They were immediately sent away, and after questioning its proprietor, the school was shut down. Most of the schools are surrounded by thick bushes like here. Others have dilapidated structures. Some of the schools have no clear distinction between primary and secondary levels. All these schools are accused of operating without a license.
According to the law, when a new institution is open, it has 2 to 3 years to put its documents intact. So the hierarchy actually started the procedure. The procedure has been slow.
The fight against clandestine schools has been going on for many years now, and critics hold that it is nowhere near its end.
And delegates of basic education in the crisis Northwest and Southwest regions say they are multiplying strategies for the reopening of schools that have remained closed for over 7 years. They were speaking in Yaoundé this Thursday, August 10, while taking part in the traditional preparatory platform with the Basic Education Minister ahead of the 2023-2024 academic year. The details with Hyson Chow.
2 days of consultations between the minister and authorities of basic educations like directors, regional delegates, divisional delegates, inspectors and head teachers, all here to plan for a smooth takeoff of the 2023-2024 academic year with focus on digitalization of the system.
At the basic education, we are there to initiate all the operation of digitalization for young students, because as soon as they will go upper, they will be inside this process, which is a modern one. And we see also that some operation through digitalization are immoral. So we must avoid this side of immorality in digitalization, so you have to enforce it.
And as they review the previous school year, delegates of troubled regions like the Northwest and Southwest are equally seeking special measures to reopen shut down schools and bring back the highly needed teaching staff.
We are envisaging many more schools reopening. We're envisaging many more teachers returning to their classrooms. We have carried out a lot of sensitizations, both for parents and other stakeholders. And we are sure that at the level of the Northwest, the situation is improving gradually, and it will keep improving. We understand that infrastructure, most of it destroyed. We are going to use the ones that are there while making an appeal to our hierarchy to see whether they can do some rehabilitation. As regards staffing, we got so many teachers redeployed out of the region because of the crisis. They couldn't cope, but now the situation is returning to normal. Most of these teachers are applying to go back to their stations of work.
The platform, which opens this August 10, also has as objective to identify and implement strategies to combat the growing violence, trafficking and consumption of drugs in school.
And today, August 10, is being observed as the African Day of Decentralization and Local Development. Some 10 years after decentralization was introduced in Cameroon, its implementation, experts say, is still limping. We talked to some Cameroonians, including councillors Yen Douala. Watch this story.
More than 10 years after the government of Cameroon imposed decentralization as a means to help develop decentralized collectivities, its implementation phase is still wanting.
The challenge in Cameroon is that this process or this aspect of our government exists mainly on paper. We don't have it practical because we see many things that need people to go to Yaoundé before they are being served. And this is something which all Cameroonians are clamoring for, that if we could have this particular aspect of our governance made a reality and practical too, it will be so helpful.
Devolving powers from the central government to the local government, to the region and the council is a good thing. The council is being managed by elected officials, the mayor and the city mayor. But in the same law, we find where the head of state comes in now, use the powers given to him by the constitution to appoint the SDO, the DO and the governors to have supervisory authorities over the activities of these elected officials. And with this, it makes it very, very difficult for us to have effective implementation of the state law on decentralization.
While blaming governments for the loopholes in decentralization, critics frown at an entire system which they say has been politicized.
Lack of will. There are some people who have decided to withhold powers at their level, at the central level, in order to, benefit, might be from some of the services they offer people, because there are people who have decided that as they serve in some offices, they must benefit from the users of those services. Secondly, one of the challenges which I think the government ought to have looked into is the aspect of digitalization. Our processes need to be digitalized so that the transfer of information from the central level to the regions or to the local authorities should have been effective.
It's like selling the good and having the rope. It makes it very difficult. So if these measures are not being put in place to reduce the powers of the executive, the overwhelming power of the executive over the elected officials, then the law on the central will mainly be a paperwork without any effective implementation or benefit of the law by the local government and the citizens.
On the field, lots of projects are still abandoned daily, some left uncompleted by councils. In other municipalities, there is a zero realization rate of public investment projects, while there is urgent need for the decentralization process to be effective. Those suffering are the masses.
And we take this communique just coming in. Monday, August 14 has been declared a public holiday throughout the national territory of Cameroon. A decree signed by the President of the Republic. Just to know that Tuesday, the 15th of August is the Day of Assumption, which means the public holiday follows the Feast of Assumption that will be celebrated on Tuesday, August 15. And that brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast, the English language and Canal to International. Thanks so much for watching. But coming up next is the brief with Lil Peugeot. As I'm here, be back same time tomorrow. Good night.